Hello, folks, and welcome back to Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. It's football Sunday. It's a great day, and we are recording Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. We got a great episode for you today, and we'll be back after these words. At Complicated Communications, we are committed now, more than ever, to keeping you connected. But it's complicated.
Complicated Communications, please hold. Complicated Communications, this is Charlene.
My internet is awful. I can't even watch TikTok videos.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that. I can have an uncertified tech on site in 3 months to take a look-see, hon.
3 months?
That's right. Someone will be there in 3 months, between a Monday and Friday, between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. So please make sure someone is available to let them in.
Listen, that's ridiculous. I need to film my TikTok videos. Don't you have anything sooner?
I'm sorry, it's complicated.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
And hello, welcome back to the show. Those were some great words from one of our sponsors, Complicated Communications. Haven't heard that commercial in quite a while. So first, before we say anything, so for this episode, we're doing overrated players. Me and Miles Marcoux are both doing 3 players each. So yeah. But before we go further, I would like to say the elephant in the room. Yes, Miles Marcoux is not here right now. Miles Marcoux, if you want to unmute and explain why you're not here.
Y'all. Okay, so this is a little bit embarrassing. I live near a farm, and every Saturday night we help out with chores. Yesterday, I hit my head really hard on a big metal pole, and it sort of hurt to drive, or it made me a little bit dizzy. So I canceled just at the last minute, but I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't want to not do Sports Babble because we haven't done it in a few weeks. And then I was like, wait, we're doing overrated players, and we did underrated players at the same setup. So I was like, it's almost perfect, right, Quinn?
Yeah, so we have Miles Marcoux here on Google Hangouts, and we also have Miles Lane, as many of you know. The last episode, I forget what we talked about, but we had Miles Lane on the show. What did we talk about?
It was Guestapalooza, so we sort of
we just talked about kind of football, and we decided that we really like having Miles Lane on the show, and we wanted to give him his own segment on Sports Babble. So Noah, it's not like he has his segment and he only talks during his segment. He can still chime in when me and Miles are talking and when Noah's talking, or when whoever's talking. Noah. Like, he can still answer listener questions and trivia. He can still do that stuff. Kind of like what Noah does. So, but his segment we'll call Lane's Lowdown. And so basically he can talk about whatever sports related, baseball, football, hockey, whatever it is. He can talk about it during that segment. So yeah, we could get on to the show then, I guess. So, like I said before, we're doing overrated players. Me and Miles both chose 3 players to do. Miles, you just want to... Oh, yeah, and we want to do it kind of in orderly fashion. So we're going to start with who we think is the least overrated, Miles, or should we do most overrated?
Yeah, so out of the players that we've chosen, we've each chosen 3 players. So, of course, all 3 of these players we think are overrated, but we're going to do the ones that we think are the least overrated. So, from the least to the greatest, which is only 3, so it's not a lot. So, yeah. Quinn, why don't you get us started?
Oh, yeah. Also, if there's any background noise, because we're on Google Hangouts, it's really tough to, eliminate that. So if there's background noise, that's why. So, yeah, my first overrated player, who I think is the least overrated out of my group, is one of them. I chose Jimmy Garoppolo from the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of you may think Jimmy Garoppolo did make it to the Super Bowl last year, which is correct, he did. But he was kind of carried by his people around him, his defense and his offense. You could kind of start to tell that. Going against the Chiefs, who last year were the best team in the NFL, no doubt about it. You could tell that Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't able to do what people thought he could do in the regular season against some of these teams that weren't very good. He wasn't able to throw the ball. He had to hand it off a lot to Raheem Mostert or that 49ers running back core. When he threw the ball, he didn't really get a lot of throwing advantages. He was trying to rely on his defense, which didn't really work because of the Chiefs' offense being so amazing. So Jimmy Garoppolo, you may say, yeah, he made it to the Super Bowl last year, which he did, which he definitely did have some play in, but with that offense being pretty good running back core, decent wide receiving core, George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league, arguably the best tight ends in the league. If not the best. Yeah. Without those players, if we saw Jimmy Garoppolo on a lower graded team, like maybe on the Broncos, let's say, who have an average roster, a pretty okay
Good
defense.
Example.
I don't think if Jimmy Garoppolo was in the place of Drew Lock, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo would be able to do what he was doing with the 49ers last year. Yeah. Miles, you want to add
Quinn,
anything?
I think that Quinn, I think that that's a really good example of how you took a team that pretty much over the past few years since Peyton Manning's left has defined mediocrity. I think that, again, if Jimmy Garoppolo was on that team, I think he would be about the caliber of player that Drew Lock has been. And, for my pick, let's stay in that division. I'm going to go Le'Veon Bell. And yes, Le'Veon Bell, at once in his prime, he was a good player. He's a 3-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro with the Steelers. But when he joined the Jets, oh boy, was he not good. So that last year he was with the Steelers, he was benched. He didn't play because there was some conflict there between him and the coaches, including Mike Tomlin, who's arguably one of the best coaches in the league. So then he goes to the Jets. He gets paid a pretty good amount of money. They change their uniforms for a new era, and then they do what the Jets do best, lose, and they lose a lot. Last year, he averaged a mere 3.4 yards per carry, and for a player that's getting paid that much money, it is just not a good color on him. So in 2019, he had so little yards, 786 yards in total, and that's just not something that you want to play when you're paying someone this much money. He just did not play good games. And again, another thing, I say this all the time, if you're not helping your team win big games, you're not a good enough player. Saquon Barkley, for example. Quinn and Noah was going to use this example. I don't think Saquon Barkley is a great player because the Giants used the draft pick on him, and of course, he won Rookie of the Year. He gets 1,000-yard season, but he doesn't help his team win Super Bowls. So I think it's same thing with Cam Newton. If you're not helping your team go to the playoffs, you're just not helping your team.
Well,
Twin,
okay.
I look forward to the rebuttal about Saquon Barkley here.
So you mentioned that if you're not helping your team win games, then you're not a good player, which I don't think is a great statement, considering that would mean one player would have to carry the whole team. Like Patrick Mahomes is a very good player for the Chiefs, but he's not the reason that the Chiefs win games. He's part of the reason, but he also has some players to throw to that help with his, that help him. So, I don't think that's a good example. Saquon Barkley is the best running back in the league. So, yeah. Got to do something real quick. Give me.
He's not even the best running back on his team. All right. Okay.
Sorry,
Quinn,
my phone said
who was your next
my phone
player?
said close 20%. All right. Next player. So I did Jimmy Garoppolo.
Does Miles Lane want to add
Oh
anything?
yeah, Miles Lane, you want to say anything about our picks?
Well, yes. I kind of agree with Quinn about how Miles saying that if you're not helping your team win, then you're not a good player, because Miles, you just insulted our team, just so you know. I mean, our Patriots, we have a lot of players on there. Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. We have a lot of good defensive players and a couple good offensive players, and we're just not winning games. And we still have some good players, so
yeah.
Also, but Jimmy Garoppolo, something to say about this season is if you're kind of basing him off this season, you can't really give him a fair chance because he's hurt his ankle. And so, since he's hurt his ankle, he hasn't been doing as well this season. And Le'Veon Bell, I mean, when you're on the Jets, can you really even get that many yards? Now that he's on the Chiefs, I think it's going to be not big, but it's going to be a different story, I think.
I feel bad for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, because now that Le'Veon Bell's on the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire won't get as many snaps, and he's a very good young talent, so that's a big bummer for him. All right, but moving on to our next player. So my middle player, who I think is average, overrated, average not. Speaking of the Patriots, I chose Cam Newton from the Patriots. Some people may say that you can't, Miles Lane kind of just said it. He's been injured for the past. He's dealt with injuries. But that's kind of part of the reason I chose him to be overrated. If you don't play, people can't really say you're that good because they don't see you playing that much. Last year, for an example, he got injured and he couldn't play the rest of the season, and people were still this year they were still yeah, no, Cam Newton's very good. Yeah, he used to be very good, but after dealing with injuries, you can't really say how good he still is if you haven't seen him play yet after an injury, because that kind of resets a player. And I feel like we've kind of seen it this year. Only throwing for, I believe, 1 touchdown this season. Less touchdowns than Sam Darnold, who is not a very good quarterback. I was thinking about putting him as an overrated player, to be honest. Less touchdowns than Sam Darnold this year. Kind of relying on his rushing skills hasn't really worked out too well for him. I mean, he's rushed for definitely some touchdowns, but we saw it in the Broncos game, I believe it was, where he was trying to rush, he was fumbling when he was trying to pass, stuff like that Cam Newton hasn't really been able to do. I think people still think that he is yeah, he used to be a good player, but I think now, after getting injured, he kind of has been reset, and he hasn't been able to figure out how to get back to himself. Miles Marcoux, you want to say anything?
Sorry, I was fumbling with my mute device. So, yes, I do understand that Cam Newton is bad, and that fumble really, oh, God, I did not even mean to make that pun. And that fumble was really bad there against Buffalo. We probably would have won. I knew it was crazy, but I knew I wanted Rex Burkhead to get stopped and him to not get that first down, because then we would have had to kick a field goal and we would have won. So, yep. As you guys may notice, I'm a little more precise, and that's because for the first time in a while, I have stats, which is just awesome. Okay, so for my next player, no one's going to hate me for this because really no one likes this player anymore. Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah. Sorry, Giants fans. It's just not good.
Why
Odell Beckham
Giants
Jr. is a
fans?
3-time Pro Bowl and because he used to be good when he was on their team.
Yeah, but
He's
on the
a
Browns
3-time
now.
Pro Bowl and an offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't really care about that. He was an offensive Rookie of the Year in 2014. He's never made an All-Pro team, and I guess he was decent with the Giants. Maybe, I don't know, he was still pretty bad with them, and he was definitely overrated then. But, I mean, wow, with Cleveland in the past 2 years, he has just been atrocious. I mean, he got 16 he played in 16 games last year. 15 of them he got started. He got 74 receptions for over 1,000 yards last year. But when you're paying him this much money, like I said about Le'Veon Bell, it comes down to a point of, are you getting enough receptions and enough yards to where the money makes sense? Because, I mean, it's something if you're paying him the amount of money you're paying Julian Edelman, but it's not something if you're paying him a lot, like $20 million or whatever their contract is with
Miles,
him.
you're kind of basing
This year he's played in.
You're kind of saying like overrated. You're saying like if they're overpaid, kind of like that.
Yeah, that's
okay.
one of my big things for like how I determine if they're overrated. This year he's played in 7 games and he's had 7 of them started. 43 targets, 23 receptions with 319 yards, and he got injured. So, while Odell Beckham Jr. definitely isn't the worst player in the league, you just need to give him less money. And we all know that he has a very bad temper, and that may have been one of the reasons why he did not get re-signed by the Giants when his contract expired. And I honestly think that was a good move by the Giants because it's not just if you're a good player, but it's if you're a burden to your team in the locker room and those sort of things and the kind of environment you put out. I mean, it's just not been very good. And he's also not having a great year with Cleveland, and he really hasn't. So I think that he's just been really overrated. His catch percentage in Cleveland for 2 years is 55.1%, which is terrible, which really has brought it down quite a bit from when it was with the Giants. So I think that this may be sort of the end of him getting paid quite a bit of money.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking that OBJ will be dropped at the end of the season and maybe traded for someone else because, on that Browns roster, he hasn't really been able to show what he can do. Kind of like what I was saying about Cam Newton. He's kind of dealt with injuries. On the Giants, he dealt with injuries in 2017, I believe. He had an ankle injury and had 22 receptions for 700 yards, maybe not very well. He's dealing with injuries this year. Torn ACL, can't play for the rest of the season. So, kind of like what I was saying about Cam Newton, it's tough to see. It's tough to say a player's good when they get injured a lot. Miles Lane, you want to say anything about our picks again? We can always just go back to you at the end.
So I was going to talk about kind of Odell Beckham Jr. and the Cleveland Browns offense. So he hasn't been doing a bunch. Kind of brings me to his college roommate, Jarvis Landry, who I think is really underrated. He's, I think, better than Odell Beckham Jr. And so it kind of surprised me when I hear the Cleveland Browns, everyone talking about Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield, and I'm like Jarvis Landry has made like a bigger impact on the team as a whole.
Yeah, great point. Last year, Jarvis Landry was definitely a lot better than Odell Beckham Jr. Them being college roommates, they knew each other really well. Also, yeah, I think that's a great point. Jarvis Landry, so far, since Odell has joined this team last season, Jarvis Landry has made the biggest impact on this team still, and he continues to do that. Getting many touchdowns, many receptions, being Baker Mayfield's first target, because after all these seasons, or not all these seasons, a couple seasons with Baker Mayfield, they know each other a little better, and they kind of gain that confidence, I guess, together.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Quinn, with that confidence, and yeah, that's a good point.
So, are we going to do our last player each then?
Yes, sir, Quinn. Sorry, I was on mute there.
No, you're fine.
You can go first.
All right. So, so out of my three players, first I had Jimmy Garoppolo, second I had Cam Newton, 2 QBs. My third player, who I think is the most overrated out of the players I chosen, is Leonard Fournette, who was a former Jaguar, and I believe he is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So Leonard Fournette, with his seasons, while he was on the Jaguars, put up decent yards, decent touchdowns, but didn't really perform for his team. That Jaguars team obviously never was really that good. Last time they were okay, I guess, was when Blake Bortles was really in his prime on that team. But ever since, they haven't really been that good. He's been traded this offseason to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. See what he can do on that team. He hasn't got a lot of snaps. He's kind of been looked past. I believe against the Giants it was that he was starting to get some more snaps because I don't know, I forget why, but he was starting to get some more snaps. A lot of these, all these seasons, he's kind of, I guess he's kind of been looked past. And you can't really be a great player if you don't get the ball, I guess.
Or you really can't, prove that you're a good player if you don't get the ball.
Yeah, so
you could be a pretty good player, but
it's kind of like what I was saying before about injuries with Cam Newton. It's kind of the same, but in a different way. Cam Newton, you can't say he's very good if he hasn't played in a while. You can't rate him to be good. So I think you can't really say Leonard Fournette is a great player if he doesn't really get the ball, doesn't get many yards and touchdowns and stuff like that.
Yeah, Quinn, good point. I mean, the less touches you get, the less you're able to prove yourself as a good player. All right. Well,
yeah, you want to do your player?
Quinn, that's 2 for you, and yep, that's 2 for you, or that's 3 for you and 2 for me. Of course, I did Le'Veon Bell. Wait, who's the other guy I did? Hold up, some brain difficulties here. Odell Beckham Jr. And the person I think that's most overrated, whom my friends know that I'm not a fan of, and of course is a Chief, which I'm definitely not a fan of, Tyrann Mathieu. You're not on mute, buddy. All right. So, Tyrann Mathieu, I am not a fan of, and I'm definitely not a fan of his team, the Chiefs. Now, Tyrann Mathieu is a 1-time Pro Bowl, 2-time All-Pro, which I don't know how that happens. He's also a Super Bowl champion, which I loathe, and he's a Hall of Fame, all 2010s team player. But Tyrann Mathieu, really, I never heard of him before the playoffs last year. And the reason why is because simply he's not really that good. Tyrann Mathieu plays safety, so it's a little bit hard to tell about how great he is with passes deflected and stuff. He doesn't get sacks, which is pretty normal for a safety. He gets interceptions, but again, that's more of a right place, right time thing because he really doesn't get a lot of passes defended. So the completion percentage on him is higher than it is on Devin McCourty. He does get more interceptions, but I just don't think that Tyrann Mathieu deserves to have that much pay and that much hype from teams like the Chiefs. Also, again, not a fan of the Chiefs, not a fan of Tyrann Mathieu. So it's a little bit biased there, but not really because he's not really that good. Miles? Miles Lane?
Yep, just had to unmute there. I'm kind of with you on Tyrann Mathieu is overrated, but I don't really like the same as you. I haven't really heard him that much. So you could say that if you really don't hear much of him, how is he like that overrated? Because like all those players that aren't good and you never hear about them because of it, they're not overrated. But like Tyrann Mathieu, I hadn't heard of him before the playoffs, and so I don't really know if he's that overrated. Just gonna point that out.
Yeah, about what you said about how like you hadn't really heard of him before the playoffs. That almost proves my point because, I mean, comes playoff season, he's just talked about so much. But before that, he really hadn't been. So, if he does one good thing in the last game of the regular season, then people just start talking about him more because I guess you could say he was decent before the playoffs that year. So he does one or two good things, and then people just start talking about him a lot more. So yeah, that sort of proves my point a little bit.
All right. Well, I think we're about ready to get into the commercial break. Noah, you have anything to say?
I do. We went over this last episode, like a little bit about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They could be recognized as an overrated team right now, with all the players that they have. But I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being overrated, or if you think they're maybe, I don't know, just a team.
Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously have one of the best rosters in the league. Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, recently signing Antonio Brown, who will start this week. All these start players, pretty good defense. Jason Pierce-Paul, pretty good front seven. Offensive line, Jedrick Wills, pretty good. Jedrick Wills Jr. They have all these players that kind of step up for them. So I wouldn't say they're an overrated team, They've been doing what everyone expected of them to do. They've been winning games. What are they? Have they lost 2 games, I believe?
They have lost a couple. Not.
I know they lost to the Chargers, I believe, and the Saints.
Yeah.
And so, I guess they'll be able to test their skills again against this Saints offense today. We'll see what they do, because the Saints are definitely one of the better teams this Buccaneers offense and defense will play this season. So I don't think the Buccaneers are overrated yet. I don't think I've seen anything to prove them that they're not good.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any information to prove that the Buccaneers are overrated. I mean, that's mainly because they have 2 losses, and yes, they have played some easier teams, but this is also a team that I think they will go out, and I think they will beat the Saints today, and that's because, again, there comes to a point where you can have too many weapons, and of course, players aren't going to get along because they are not really caring about the temperament, or I don't know if I use that word correctly. I don't really care though. So I think that the more good players you get, it can come at a cost to your whole organization. Tom Brady has thrown to Antonio Brown before. Antonio Brown has one touchdown catch from Tom Brady. That was on the Patriots week 2 last year against the Dolphins. I think that the chemistry is there. Of course, they have a really underrated player in Scotty Miller. So they have Miller, Gronkowski, Brady, Fournette, and of course Antonio Brown. So you can throw it to your tight ends who are good, throw it to your wide receivers who are great. You could hand it off to a fantastic running back core. The Buccaneers offense is fantastic. The Buccaneers defense is decent. If the Buccaneers had a terrible defense, I don't think it would matter that much because the Buccaneers can score 30 points and their defense can give up 30 points. And I think that that's sort of just the philosophy I'm giving them. But they have a decent defense, so their defense could keep it to 20 points and their offense can go over that.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our first half of this show.
Unless Miles Lane has anything to say,
Miles Lane.
but yeah, that should bring us to it.
Miles Lane, you have anything to say about the Buccaneers' offense and defense?
Looks like no.
All right. So this brings us to the end of the first half of our show.
If you need water, go drink it. If you need a snack, go eat it.
We haven't said it yet. Like, subscribe, comment. While Noah gets this stuff ready. Are you all good?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you after these words. Bye. Do.
Where did Miles Lane go?
We'll be back after these words. See you guys later.
Commercial break.
Oh, there it is.
In section.
Okay, cool.
Quarantine. Hands clean. Quarantine. Stare scene. If we stay at home today, took some time to isolate. Just one day out of life, we could save so many lives.
Is your pooch in the pits because all you proud puppy possessors are pointed back to professionalism? Well, pout no more, pooches. Presenting the all-new Puppy Patter. The Puppy Patter process is a piece of pie. Just attach Puppy Patter to any standard collar, and all our perpetually patent-pending proprietary prototype will leave your pooch pleasantly pleased. But wait, there's more! Act now, and we'll throw in our soon-to-be, award-winning, never-fetch collar attachment and tennis ball adapter. Throwing the ball to your dog? So 1982. Just attach that ball to never fetch and watch Fido freak the out. Only available at sportsbabblevt.com.
Creepy case, it's a pillowcase. Creepy case, it's our face. Everywhere you'll ever go, people will say, people will know. That's creepy case, it's their face. Creepy case, the pillowcase.
We're the best, we help you rest. Everything is great. We can help you sleep better. Ish. Kind of not. Oh wait, we're hot. Creepy case. We help you sleep, 'cause it's our face. Every day, every way, we help you sleep and we help you play.
Acting up for us to settle on our petty law.
Alrighty. So that was a good mid-break commercial. We had to switch some things around, and so that concludes the first half of our show. So we did overrated players. Me and Miles got to talk. Miles Lane got to chip in, but we haven't heard from Noah yet, and this is where his segment comes. But we are also Noah last week at the end of the show. Noah and Miles switched spots. Noah was sitting here next to me, and Noah was thinking that for just the end of the show he could sit in my spot, so I was like, yeah, sure. I know pretty much how his thing over here works, so I just was gonna let him finish up the commercials, and now me and him are gonna switch. I'll be
so I can do listener questions.
Noah will be in my seat using my headphones and stuff, and and Noah will be here for listener questions and trivia. There will be no helmet slap today because that is Miles' helmet. But that's okay. So
any other traditions that you want, if these do come up more with Miles not being here, stuff like that. If there's any other traditions that you want us to do, like any stuff like the helmet slap,
So we're gonna go into the second half of our show with trivia, listener questions, Lane's Lowdown, new segment. That's gonna be a nice one. We're gonna have local sports. There's a big thing for local sports too. So, no, want to switch? Just real quick, we're gonna do this switchity doo dah.
Miles and Miles Lane, if you want to add anything before we get on to listener questions, now is the time.
Yeah, you guys can just say whatever, really. I have to transition it.
No, just fade. Okay. Okay, so.
All right.
Hello.
I'm going to fade this over to Noah's camera real quick. Oh, look at that. I just did that.
Okay. Nice job, Quinn. So, no helmet slap because, it's Miles's, helmet, and if there's any other things that you want us to do, just make sure to comment that. Miles or Miles Lane.
When did you change your shirt? Oh, that's Noah.
Hey. This is the People's Academy Wolves practice jersey. And speaking of the People's Academy Wolves, we have won the Division III boys soccer championship, and that was yesterday. It was a 1-0 game, so it was a great game. Oliver Nigro, number 26, scored the goal right outside the 6. It was a little bounce, and he just got right over the ball, and it just was right out of the goalie's reach. Great game, obviously great. Yeah, it was just awesome because they haven't won a championship since 2011, so a couple years. But last year for the seniors, COVID going on, and they pulled through for the win. Basketball, they have announced that it is going to happen. No fans have to wear a mask. Probably early December, late November is when first practices are going to happen. We don't know. Same thing with soccer. Will games happen? Will there just be a couple practices? Hopefully it'll be like soccer. Games go on. We have the whole season to work with, And
like Noah said. Also, I heard that they might not be able to do games. Well, at the very beginning, how soccer started for us because we live in Vermont. So soccer started, and originally it was going to be just practices. So until we move to the next stage in basketball, it's going to be just practices and scrimmages amongst.
Yeah.
So Noah, I'm not sure how we want to do this. You want to do Lane's lowdown?
Yeah.
Then,
How about Miles Lane? Do you want to speak about Lane's lowdown and just what it's all about?
and you could do Lane's lowdown. Yeah. We're giving you the baton now. You gotta, yeah.
The baton. That's pretty cool.
Lane's lowdown. It's just kind of me talking about stuff that's going on in the NFL, kind of like the last episode. It wasn't really anything specific.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple ideas of stuff that I could do.
Yeah.
But it's really just anything, just normal big stories in the NFL.
Yeah.
Big names.
Anything that we really didn't cover in the show because we were kind of going over one thing. Miles Lane is there to kind of finish it off,
Yeah, he could also do like game score, stuff like
Yeah,
that, big
yeah.
game. So just take it away, So,
Anything that you want to add?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Now you can. You were just explaining it. Now you can just do Lane's lowdown, do your segment. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was just gonna talk about some wide receivers in the league because there has been a couple changes since last year. Recently Michael Thomas has recovered from his injury. He is definitely playing today, and so that's gonna be a huge asset for the Saints if they want to beat the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely a great wide receiver. Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs is, very fast, doing what he was doing last year. But Chase Claypool is someone who I wanted to talk about. We've talked about him a little bit. He's on the Steelers. He is a rookie, and he's very good this year. He's making a lot of catches. Against the Eagles, he had 4 touchdowns, which was pretty insane. 4-touchdown game when you're a rookie. And DK Metcalf making some big plays we've seen this year. Russell Wilson obviously helps him since he is very good at long bombs, which is definitely something that DK is strong catching. I've also seen this little thing about how 9 receivers or 8 receivers were drafted before him just because a couple drills that he was not very good at and on the draft. Like for the 40-yard dash, he made it in 4.33 seconds, which is insane. That's 120 feet in 4 seconds. Not many people can run that fast, especially people his size. And weight.
Yeah, good point.
So
Sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely making a name in the NFL. And for the Patriots, haven't had many big receivers. Not really. They used to have a couple. But now that Cam Newton's there, he's not as good of a thrower as Tom Brady, obviously, so before kind of any old receiver will do as long as they can catch a perfect pass. And so now it's a little different story for New England receivers. So the Chiefs, obviously I was talking about Tyreek Hill, have a bunch of receivers also like McCole Hardman, and he's a very good receiver. But we have a lot of receivers besides just wide receivers. Travis Kelce, and one of the funny things is Christian McCaffrey has almost as much receiving yards, or maybe more rushing yards. So he's definitely a very good receiver. And so that's just kind of what's going on with receivers in the NFL right now. A lot of big names going around. So back to you, Noah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point. Receivers are doing. They're making a change this year, and Quinn, you did want to add something. You didn't interrupt rudely before. Didn't really like that. But do you want to add something?
Yeah, Miles, I really like, receivers have lately been one of the bigger, or this year, so far, through the 8 weeks we have had so far, have probably been the biggest position that people have been talking about so far this year. I really liked how you brought up DK Metcalf and how he was picked very late. I believe like 100 and something, like over 100 picks later he was picked, and now a lot of people consider him. I consider him one of the top 10 wide receivers in the league so far this year. Russell Wilson definitely helped him out with Russell Wilson being such a great deep bomb quarterback. He can throw very far on the run, just deep bombs. That's one of DK Metcalf's specialties. I also like how you brought up DK Metcalf's 40-yard time and how you brought up his size, because DK Metcalf is definitely a bigger dude. He's got a lot of muscle, and him running, would you say, a 4.33? That's a fantastic time, especially, like you said, for people his size. And a lot of people looked at DK Metcalf as, like, not a great wide receiver because maybe a couple of the combine drills he didn't exceed in. But, great points bringing up that he's kind of, like, proved a lot of people wrong. So, yeah, good point.
Miles, Marku, do you want to add anything on Miles Lane's thoughts?
I'd say that DK Metcalf is one of the best running or wide receivers in the league, and I think that that's mainly because of, how good Russell Wilson is. But I also think that if Mahomes was his quarterback, he'd do exceedingly well. But, having Russell Wilson being that good of a quarterback definitely helps him.
I think even if actually, also you brought up the point of Chase Claypool, who is a great young talent in this league, second-round pick out of Notre Dame, I believe.
Proving himself like a lot.
Like you said, 4 touchdowns in the Eagles game, phenomenal for any receiver, especially a rookie receiver. Also, what was I gonna say? Last week against the Ravens, a lot of people thought the Ravens were gonna win that game. Steelers really pulled through, and Chase Claypool getting that winning touchdown. He's really been able to work out, do what his team really wants of him. So, yeah, great points.
Do you want to move on to listener questions?
Sure.
So, listener questions. So we already went about Lane's lowdown, right? He went over that. Great job, Miles Lane. Another question: does injuries incorporate into being overrated? So you guys kind of went over that a little bit. Like if they're injured a lot, then you can't really tell. But if there's anything else that you guys want to add about that, you can. How about Miles Marcoux? Do you want to start us off with that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are not going to be happy about this one, but I definitely think so, because I think that, again, if you're a first-round pick and you get injured for a season, then you come back and you have a good career, I don't think it affects you in that way. If you get injured and then you're never the same, or you're never a good player, I think that would make you overrated, because just because you got injured doesn't mean that you were going to have a fantastic career anyway. So I definitely think that the fact of the matter that getting injured affects your career. And of course, a lot of times you can't stop yourself from getting injured. But I think that if Cam Newton didn't get injured, he might still be on the Panthers, and he might still be playing at that fantastic level. The league would definitely be different. I don't think he would have been cut. I don't know what would have happened to Kyle Allen. So I think that, yes, injuries, one way or another, an injury is going to affect how overrated or how underrated or how properly rated you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was kind of saying that before. Injuries, that was like kind of some of my main points for Cam Newton, Jimmy Garoppolo. Injuries are part of the reason why I had them on my list for why they were so overrated. So, yeah, I think injuries definitely play a part. If you're injured, I was saying this before, you can't really rate a player if they're good. So say, like, for example, if Cam Newton played 5 games and he was out 4 of them due to an ankle injury, But his one game that he did play, he had a great game, but he got injured in the fourth quarter. I don't think in this situation you could say Cam Newton was a great player because you've only seen him play one game. Like, I don't think this season, I'm going to mention Saquon Barkley, but I don't think you could say this season Saquon Barkley is a top 10 running back in the league this season because he has gotten injured. Saying that he was like a top 10 running back, that would be overrating him for this season. So, yeah, I think injuries definitely play a part.
Miles Lane, anything that you want to add on that question?
No, I completely agree with everything else that Miles and Quinn just said. How injuries can affect you, but it depends how long term they are.
Yeah, that is a good point. Another one that I didn't write down that I do want to add, Patrick Mahomes, is he overrated? Is he living up to his standards in the fact of how much he's getting paid? And do you think he's living up to that, contract?
Here we go. This is definitely my question. Everybody knows that I really hate the Chiefs, and I do not like the Chiefs. And I don't really like Patrick Mahomes. That might just be because he's good, and he's on the Chiefs, and he's one of the big reasons he's good. I don't know. I've never really tried to. I've always just been like, oh, the Chiefs are good, and they're a threat to the Patriots, so I hate them. So anyway, I definitely think that a lot of people, again, man, today, I don't know what it is, but people are going to hate me for my answers today. This year, Patrick Mahomes has been overrated. And let me go into a little bit of detail. Patrick Mahomes has had 2 fantastic games. One of them last week against the Jets where he threw for like 5 touchdowns, which was amazing. And, of course, Tyreek Hill jumped into the stands, got fined.
It was the Jets, though. Let's consider that.
Yeah, okay. So, again, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is a bad player, and I think Patrick Mahomes is he's a top 10 quarterback, if not top 5 in the league this year. But the way he's played and the way he's not getting into the top 5 of a lot of categories this year, he's not on track to hit 50 touchdowns again in a full, healthy season. So I definitely think that Patrick Mahomes, he's getting paid $50 million a year, and for 10 years he's getting paid $50 million, $500 million contract, $3 million contract to be specific. But when you're playing like this, yes, you deserve like $20 million each year, which is still a really big amount of money, and he's been very good. He deserves probably the contract that the Texans gave to Deshaun Watson, but, I mean, he has been playing decent, but he's not played at the same level that we've seen Patrick Mahomes play for the past 2 years. Maybe the contract's messing with his head. Maybe something else is happening. Maybe he's dealing with an injury. We don't know. All I know is Patrick Mahomes, not worth $50 million. I would say because of his contract status, he's overrated. Of any other way, probably not. Quinn, Miles?
You were kind of saying it before with your players. How contracts kind of played into your part for whether they were overrated or not. I don't think Patrick Mahomes, so a lot of people thought of him, so he's the Super Bowl MVP, the former Super Bowl champion, for the Chiefs. But a lot of people thought that coming into this season he would keep playing like that because kind of tripped on my words here. Patrick Mahomes, a lot of people thought he was going to be that great super talent that he was last year. He's not bad this year. Like, I don't think he's overrated to the point that it's like Patrick Mahomes isn't a good player anymore. Patrick Mahomes is still definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league, maybe top 5. But this year he hasn't really been playing up to the standards of Super Bowl MVP or former Super Bowl champion that he was playing at the end of the year last year. Against the Jets, 5 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill playing great for him. But, it's the Jets. He had one other great game. I forget who it was against that he did really well. So he's had a couple good games this season, but until we can see him start to get more consistent with whether he plays really well or doesn't play really well is when we can say if he's properly rated as a great quarterback, I'd say.
Miles Lane, if there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of add on to Quinn when he said consistent, because consistency is huge. Like, a lot of you probably know Kyler Murray. He plays for the Cardinals. Some weeks he plays like really amazing, but some weeks he's like super bad. Like some weeks he doesn't do anything, and so consistency is key because if say they were in the Super Bowl and every other game he plays amazing, but all the other games he plays horrible, you can't count on him to be amazing during the Super Bowl, and so that's a very key thing to being good. And so if Patrick Mahomes starts having the consistency that he had last year, definitely I think gonna live up to the $500 million contract for 10 years. But if not, then I can't really see him being paid that much, or like if that was a worthwhile payment for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And we didn't go over this after the commercial break, but if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe, like, comment your friends, comment. I'm not really sure. Make sure to check out the channel. We have 22 subscribers, and this is the 21st episode.
We actually have 21 subscribers in this 21st episode, so that's pretty cool.
No, we have 22. I already checked. Okay.
I can't wait till we have 150 million episodes out. Then we'll guess how many subscribers we'll have.
150 million.
150 million.
Yep. That's just that's how we roll. Yeah, if it would really help if you guys subscribed. Tell your friends about the channel if they're interested in this kind of stuff, like just sports and how we babble about sports. You know, with Miles and Quinn and Noah and Miles Lane now. Yeah. So trivia. Now we're not gonna be doing a helmet slap. We might do that. Yeah, we'll probably do that next episode. If you guys have any ideas for next episode, make sure to comment, email at sportsbabblevt@gmail.com. What else did I want to add? Quinn, do you want to add anything about the channel?
Yeah, let me go to my view. Oh, look at that. All right. Yeah, make sure, like Noah was saying before, likes and subscribe. That would really help us out. 22 videos, 20 subscribers, make it happen, Like, subscribe, just watch your videos. Don't mean to be pushy, but if you want, you can. Please, watch your videos. Comment if, like, you like the stuff that we're posting. That also helps us if you're like, yeah, or comment saying, like, ideas, haven't done this in a while, but taking people's listener questions that they send in. Just, like, make sure you can also email us. It's right here, our email, sportsbabblevt@gmail.com, for ideas, questions about the show, kind of the same thing for commenting, except you don't have to email us. Just make sure to do all those things.
Yep.
Please.
Okay, trivia. So let's get into that. So I'm not sure if you guys watched this game. So I've been kind of just following up with the whole games and the scores and stuff. So I went with the Saints and Bears game. Bears kind of performing pretty well, I have to say. They've been doing pretty well. Saints also doing pretty well.
Wait, what was this game? What week was this game?
Week 8,
Last
I believe.
week.
Yeah, last week.
I remember it went into overtime.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
me too.
you guys know the score then.
Cool.
I know the Saints won.
I remember if someone like was doing that thing where like you guess like who's gonna get the touchdowns and like what team's gonna win by how many points, and if the Bears beat the Saints by 3 points, then that person would have got $1 million. But I remember they didn't, so I know it's not like 13-16 or something like Bears, but
Okay, so Do you guys all agree that it was the Saints over the Bears, or vice versa?
Saints won. Yeah,
Saints
Saints
won?
over Bears.
Okay, so that is correct. Now, the scores were both above 20, below 30. So if you have any guesses, so Saints over Bears, over 20, below 30.
I'm going to guess the Saints won 16 to.
Nope.
Quinn,
Nope, that's
over
not
20.
That's wrong.
Oh,
Quinn,
shoot.
come on, man. Take
guessing
this seriously. I don't want to get him. Oh, wait. No.
26-23 Saints.
26-23. Okay. Miles. Miles.
Oh, yeah, Miles. You can go
Lane.
first.
I disagree with that. I bet it's 20. Well, I don't know the exact score. I think it's maybe 21-28.
21-28.
Okay.
Oh,
Miles.
you're kidding me right now. Oh my god. 20 to 26.
20-26. Okay, so Quinn, you got it right. 26-23.
Miles, you told me. I was gonna say
Let's
that, Miles, but you
go.
told me it wasn't by 3. Ah, dang it, Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, darn
I
it,
didn't have
Miles.
to get helmets last
Which
year.
Miles are we
I'm
talking
totally
about?
fine with just
Okay,
maybe
yeah,
not.
26-23. I didn't really get like a
kidding
full
me?
description on what really happened.
Yeah,
but
I know they went into overtime. I was thinking maybe Saints won by field goal. Wasn't really positive, you know.
I knew they won
Yeah.
by a field goal. I should not have believed you, Miles Lane.
okay,
Dang it.
if you guys like this setup, Quinn behind all the stuff,
We're not making it permanent, so
And- me in front of the camera, make sure to let me know, or us know. Miles Mark II, will you be on the next episode?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
Guys,
Okay.
look, I'm putting the fade in the middle. That's cool. Sorry.
Really depends on if I get hit in the head again.
Okay,
So
if you
sad.
guys want to go back to here, let me get this. The McLaren. If you guys want to go back to those picks, or we could do something even bigger. I don't know.
Yeah, so I did the picks for week 9. We were planning on giving away the McLaren that week.
Oh my god, I better win! I better win. I really want
but-
that.
Unless a lot of people, you know, if like not too many people do the picks, we'll wait for another week to do it. But
Well, we've had a consistent amount of picks, like maybe like 20 picks.
no, not 20.
There's a consistent
Not
amount
20.
of picks.
That's consistent. Okay. Make sure to check out the website where we post not daily, weekly, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, something like that on the NFL. We usually go over the NFL. If you guys didn't know about Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. If you're a subscriber, you're awesome. If you're not subscribed yet, you're awesome too. Once you subscribe,
You're less awesome though.
yeah, yeah. If that's about it. Quinn, do you know how to do?
Our video with the highest amount of views has over 40 views, and we have like 21 subscribers. Come on, guys, you can do better.
Yeah.
If you don't have a YouTube account,
It's a weird thing if you
doesn't
don't.
show.
Yeah, it's so weird. If you don't watch every single one of our videos and like on them all and be subscribed to Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn, it's some weird thing they can't watch any other YouTubers. So make sure to do that first so you don't have any problems. with
Yeah,
YouTube.
it's a glitch.
Guys.
It's some weird glitch. So if anyone
best
else
glitch.
has anything to say, I have no idea how to end this thing.
Let's turn on the intro.
No clue how to end this, guys.
How do-
Guess
how
we'll
do I
just
do this?
Go forever.
Wait,
Here. Intro.
Too bad we're not streaming. We
Yeah.
could just go
yeah,
forever.
What about it?
Just press the play button.
So, alright, if this works, you guys all owe me $10 million. So let's get this to end message.
End message.
We will see you guys next time on Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn.
Make sure to tell your dog, your cat, your dog's cat's nephew's baby sister. And there she is.
Your dog
Make sure to
cat's
tell her.
nephew's sister?
And
What the heck?
make sure to tell your friend's
whatever. That's pretty
dog's friend.
Hey, Chloe's my friend's dog.
Alright, we'll see you guys next time on Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn.
Giants are the best team. And
Subscribe.
I like the Giants. So, yeah. Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. We are ending off. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
No. Bacon.